Hello and welcome dear students. Today we will take up session 1 of the lesson Bhakti Sufi traditions from the themes in Indian history part 2 of class 12th. Dear students, as you know that all of us practice different kinds of religious practices, that is Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Islam, Christianity, etc. Here we are going to understand the religious practices and bhakti movements of medieval India. Dear students, the learning objectives of today's session are to help you understand the religious developments of the Indian subcontinent between 8th to 18th century, to help you know about the various sources and textual tradition to understand religious developments, to help you learn two important traditions of bhakti movement, to help you understand the religious movements in order and its impact. Dear students, major sources to understand the bhakti tradition of this period, that is from 8th to 18th century, are first sculptures, temples, stupas, monasteries, etc. Second, textual traditions like Puranas, Upanishads, etc. Third, composition of saint poets. And fourth, hagiographies, a mosaic of religious beliefs and practices. During this period, a large number of god and goddesses in sculpture as well as in text appeared. This indicated the continued and extended worship of the major deities such as Vishnu, Shiva and the goddesses visualized in a variety of forms. Dear learners, now we will learn about the integration of cults. Historians who have tried to understand these developments suggest that there were at least two processes at work. One was a process of disseminating Brahminical ideas, and this was exemplified by the composition, compilation and preservation of Puranic text in simple Sanskrit verse. They were meant to be accessible to women and Shudras who were excluded from Vedic learning. There was a second process at work, that of Brahmanas accepting and reworking the beliefs and practices of other social categories. One of the most striking examples of this process, that is assimilation of local practices of other social categories, is evident at Puri, Orissa, where the principal deity was identified by the 12th century as Jagannath, literally the Lord of the world, a form of Vishnu. Through the example of Lord Jagannath, we can say that a local deity whose image was and continues to be made of wood by local tribal specialists was recognized as a form of Vishnu. At the same time, Vishnu was visualized in a way that was very different from that in other parts of the country. Integration are evident amongst goddess cults as well. Worship of the goddess, often simply in the form of a stone smeared with ochre, was evidently widespread. These local deities were often incorporated within the Puranic framework by providing them with an identity as a wife of the principal male deities. Sometimes they were equated with Lakshmi, the wife of Vishnu, in other instances with Parvati, the wife of Shiva. Dear students, now we will learn about the conflicts that arose during the Bhakti movement. Here we will discuss the conflicts among three major traditions. These were Tantric tradition, Vedic tradition and Puranic tradition. The major features of Tantric worship were: this form of worship is associated with goddesses. Tantric worship was widespread in the subcontinent. It was open to women and men. Those who followed the Tantric rejected the caste and class within the ritual context. Many of these ideas influenced Shaivism and Buddhism. there were conflicts between these who followed the Vedic tradition and those who practiced the Tantric or Puranic tradition. Those who valued Vedic tradition often condemned the practices that went beyond the performance of sacrifices and chanting of mantras. The principal deities of the Vedic pantheon, Agni, Indra and Soma, become marginal figures rarely visible in textual and visual representations of Puranic traditions. And while we can catch a glimpse of Vishnu, Shiva and the goddess in Vedic mantras, these have little in common with the elaborate Puranic mythologies. However, in spite of these obvious discrepancies, the Vedas continue to be revered as authoritative. On the other hand, those who engaged in tantric practices ignored the authority of the Vedas. Dear students, let us now try to analyze whatever we have read. Sources and textual traditions used by the historians to understand Bhakti Sufi traditions. The striking features during the period between 8th to 18th century, a large number of gods and goddesses in sculpture as well as in text appeared. The integration of cults, two types of processes were at work. First, disseminating Brahminical ideas. Second, accepting and reworking the beliefs and practices of other social categories. Tantric worship, worship of goddess, conflict that arose during the Bhakti movement. Differences and conflicts among these traditions. Dear students, there is an activity for you. Find out about god and goddesses worshipped in your town or village. Note down their names and the ways in which they are depicted. Describe the rituals that are performed. Dear student, let's move forward to the next topic and learn about early traditions of Bhakti. The historians of religion classified Bhakti traditions into two broad categories, Shaguna with attributes and Nirguna without attributes. Shaguna included traditions that focused on the worship of specific deities such as Shiva, Vishnu and his avatars or incarnations, and forms of the goddess or Devi. Nirguna Bhakti, on the other hand, was worship of an abstract form of God. Now, let us learn about the Alvars and Nayanars of Tamil Nadu. During the 6th century, some of the Bhakti movements were led by the Alvars and the Nayanars. The literal meaning of Alvars is those who are immersed in devotion to Vishnu. The meaning of the word Nayanars is those who were devotees of Shiva. They travelled from place to place singing hymns in Tamil in praise of their gods. During their travels, the Alvars and Nayanars identified certain shrines as abodes of their chosen deities. Later, big temples were built at those places and developed as pilgrimage centers. Now, we will analyze the attitude of Alvars and Nayanars towards caste. According to some historians, the Alvars and Nayanars started a movement of protest against the caste system and the Brahmanas and attempted to reform the system. The devotees came from different social backgrounds such as artisans, cultivators and even from the caste that were considered untouchables. Dear students, let's revise what we have learned. Till now, we have learned about different religious practices of Tamil region, that is Alvars and Nayanars, and their ideas about the Vedic religion and thinking about caste. These are some highlights on the topic we have discussed. First, early traditions of Bhakti. Second, historian of religion classified Bhakti tradition into two broad categories. First, Shaguna Bhakti, worship of specific deities such as Shiva, Vishnu and his avatars. Second, Nirguna Bhakti, worship of an abstract form of God. Third, the Alvars and Nayanars of Tamil Nadu. Alvars, the devotees of Lord Vishnu, Nayanars, the devotees of Lord Shiva. Fourth, attitude of Alvars and Nayanars about caste. Dear learners, here is some creative home assignment for you. What is integration of cults? What is your understanding about this? Second, make a list of some local gods and goddesses of your region. What is the tantric form of worship? In which region this is practiced? What kind of conflicts arose during the Bhakti movement? Which were the two early traditions of Bhakti suggested by historians of religion? Who were Alvars and Nayanars and what was their attitude towards caste? That's all for today's session. I hope you enjoyed it a lot. Remaining part of this theme will be discussed in the next session. Thank you very much.